Oh, there it goes. And I hit that button.
It's a button. It's a button. Button.
And we are recording.
It's a button. I haven't even really started on my sipping. A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. Well, speaking of, what you sipping?
I am sipping Saucy Santa. No, Santa sauce.
Saucy Santas. A different blend.
Portland Cider's Santa's Sauce. A festively spiced cider with Northwest apples and winter spices, infused with cinnamon, cardamom, and a little cayenne pepper. It's like biting into a delicious apple pie that warms your throat. If I could go.
Because we all know what that's. I can't do that. Can't do that either.
Corby doesn't like it.
I don't care for it.
What are you sipping?
I am also sipping a cider from Schilling called Chider.
That's good stuff.
Spiced with chai, whatever chai is.
It's so funny because it's very similar stuff.
It is, but it's not without the habanero, whatever.
I need a taste test.
But it tastes like Thanksgiving in a cup.
Yeah, you just don't have like the cayenne pepper part.
That's right.
And that is the difference between you and I. I'm a spicy.
The end. Yeah.
I'm a spicy and you're a sweet.
This is accurate. All right.
Okay.
You ready? I don't see a Sarah song for later.
I have it in my brain.
In my brain hole.
Ears.
Okay. What? Your brain hole?
Friends, it is Monday at 6:20 p.m. and it's probably not the best time for us to be podcasting.
But we're trying it. We're committed to your service.
We were supposed to do it Saturday and we were... What happened to us?
It was birthday festivities and other things. You had to work.
Yeah, and then we were supposed to do it Sunday and then I had a migraine. And so now we're here after a full day of work.
Mm-hmm. You've got my work hair and my work shirt and welcome. What are we talking about today, Jess?
Peace.
Peace.
Peace. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We are guessing about the order of the Advent themes. It's so hard to find,
you know what?
Like a definitive order.
Which means there's not one right one.
Good.
It's not like the wise men showed up and say, okay, here's what you guys do. Here's how Advent works. Didn't happen that way.
Advent's pretty new, actually. The celebration of it, the way we do it. Don't ask me how new.
Okay, last week was hope.
Hope. This week is peace. Next week is joy with probably some very special guests.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to just carry forward with peace for our theme, and then the final week will be love. So remember how last week we were talking about hope, and we talked about how it's kind of a difficult topic. So is peace.
Yeah.
I have a feeling joy is going to be that way, and so is love.
Yeah.
And I'm going to burp.
Okay. Yeah, peace is going to get the holistic treatment, which I'm...
Cider. Yes, we are. I am excited about that.
I guess hope could have as well, but it just didn't end up that way.
I don't know. Yeah, my brain went somewhere with peace that was very
the Holy Spirit went somewhere with peace.
That was last night when I was writing it, so hopefully this night it makes sense. This night, also known as tonight. Where's my sparkle?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so do you know when I was at Disneyland this last time? Were you with me?
Yeah.
Were you? I forget this last year who was with me.
She has not had anything to drink, I promise you.
So when we went, Jared and I think you had checked out at this point. You were not with us. Did you go with me to get sprinkled with pixie dust?
No.
At the Bibbidi Boppity Boutique?
No. Was I waiting for the parade, or were we?
You might have been something. You were like, yeah, I don't need to be doing that.
Okay.
With you.
Yes.
So I did do the fairy dust. That's your fairy dust.
Here it comes. Ready?
That's what they did. And then I had sparkles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what is peace?
Wow.
So I think this whole little series, we're gonna end up talking about it from like the perspective of looking back, like what role this has to play in Advent and where we find this in Scripture, and then maybe taking a more personal perspective on it, like we did with hope, which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Advent perspective of peace. Go Deacon Corby.
Oh, come on.
I just wanted to see what you would do.
You've got notes this time.
I know. Okay. So in the Advent theme, we are reflecting on peace because of what Jesus came to do, right? We are in a state of darkness. We are in a state of needing a savior to reconcile us back to God. And so he was the promised Messiah who would come to restore peace between God and us. And then he is again the coming king and here's my timeline. Back, future, back, future. He is coming again to rule in peace as the Prince of Peace. But even now, we can experience him in daily life as our peace. And I've got lots of Bible verses. We're going to get to them. But I want to focus not to minimize the importance of Jesus, but I do want to focus on our need for peace in our daily lives. And we'll talk about the spiritual aspect of that, pursuing peace and experiencing peace through resting in him. And then we're going to talk about the body.
Ooh, like the physical body?
The physical body.
And not just the body of Christ, but the physical body.
Okay. And the brain. So if we're asking what is peace, what would you say peace is?
Depends on the day. Sometimes peace for me just means quiet. I did my own little word looky uppy, and it's when Jesus told the storm, peace be still. It's pretty much the equivalent of you telling a obnoxious running around child to sit down and shut up. Whole different word for peace. It literally means be still, be quiet.
Like we tell the dogs.
Yes.
When they've got themselves all wound up.
Yes. Shut up. Sit down. Be
calm down.
So sometimes there's that, but that's a different word than the other word that we're talking about.
But that is interesting because it is one of the ways we think about it.
Yeah.
Like calm, become calm. My high school AP English teacher used to say that to us, this class full of wily seniors, become calm. Like, and he was this little, I don't think he was even 5 feet tall, skinny little Hispanic man in Birkenstocks and dress socks. I'm not kidding. And like polyester pants that came up over his belly button. And he's tiny. And he would just stand at the front of the classroom and look at us.
Become calm.
Become calm. And we would. And want to know the funniest part?
Sure.
His name was Mr. Christian and he was an atheist.
Oh. Ironical.
Yep. Okay. So what? That just
what does peace mean, Jess?
Well, we're figuring it out.
Okay.
So what do you think is the opposite of peace?
Just uncontrollable chaos. Stuff out of your control, stuff that bombards you Yeah.
Like turmoil, war.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, personally, like the dogs running around, like stuff at work that just kind of will nonstop come at you. Relationship stuff can
Yeah,
be
that's what
chaos.
I was thinking. About anxiety and stress.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think those are, I think, internal versions of what can happen on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can have that same effect that's only on the inside. That's just anxiety and stress and wound upness. That's all in your head and in your heart and in your spirit. And you're just blah, when it's
Yes.
totally quiet around you.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a combination.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You probably read ahead in the notes.
I did, but not remember.
So there's a picture of like a peaceful demeanor where you are calm. Your presentation is very calm. Like we call ourselves people of peace because we like to be like the smooth water for people around us. And people actually come to us in great turmoil and kind of fall asleep on our couch. But even with that, your body can be still, but your personality, or maybe your brain is spinning out inwardly. Like I think of your ADHD description.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was not peaceful.
Which one?
The pre-medicated version.
With the traffic?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like just having that constant activity in your brain.
Yeah.
Anxiety is another internal state of turmoil, right?
Yeah.
And those are two things we're going to dive into later. Well, sort of. But they're out of your control, really. So there's this thought of having an inner posture of peace. I think that's what we're after, right? When we think about experiencing peace.
Here's a little something to explore that's not in the notes. What if I could imagine some people saying they don't like stillness or quiet, that makes them uneasy, and then that makes them unpeaceful or anxious. So maybe somehow we get to factor in how we're wired and what peace looks like.
I think that might be coming later,
okay,
but
good. Just something to throw, because someone likes to go on. That just sounds so boring.
Well, I know, and I have three thoughts about that.
Now 4.
I forgot what they were. So
1.
Briefly, it can be a trauma response. It can be a metabolic disorder.
Interesting.
It can be, yes, your personality. And it can be also along the lines of trauma response. It can be a compensation mechanism.
Yeah.
So there could be reasons. So me as a spiritual director, I would be asking, let's look a little bit behind.
Yeah.
that.
So would you say then that even if a person considers himself high energy, go, and that's what maybe makes them feel good, maybe everyone is really wired to have some kind of peace, calm, stop, quiet, no matter what.
Yep. Neurologically, yes.
Okay. Good.
We are not the Borg.
Nope.
We have to rest. Google it. Okay.
Google it. That's my authority. Google it.
So I think then if we are trying to sum up what peace is or what we're looking for when we crave peace, it's maybe that feeling of being restful inside, regardless of what's happening around us, all those things coming at us. And I'm thinking more of a spiritual rest because, again, when it comes to the body, that's kind of, again, different. But having like a spiritual, restful state. And coming back to Jesus, that it comes right back to faith, hope, and trust. And a little bit of pixie dust. You saw it. No. So, like all of these things, the whole reason remember the double layered reason that we look at all these themes in Advent is to really lean into the waiting, into the appreciation for the fact that he came, but then also to say, how do we get this now? It's for now. So
Yeah.
it's another case of really leaning in. I know I just said that. I need a new phrase. It is another case of just investing in that interaction and relationship with Jesus where you learn him and learn to trust him and have faith and hope and know that he is the calm in the storm.
Yeah. He's more than the Sunday experience.
Yeah. And it's really what it actually means to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
We believe in that, by the way. It's just
yes, we do.
It's just not the whole thing. There's more than that. Okay.
Any other thoughts on that before we move on to?
No, I just have some Bible-y word definition stuff in my head.
I'm glad because we're about to look at the biblical perspective on peace.
Cool.
Do you want to do those first? Do you want me to share my references?
Well, let's throw the definitions out first and then see what happens.
That sounds fun.
So, peace in the Old Testament, maybe the word shalom. It's from a great old football video, but also it's the no, well, not football. That's what's up. It's the Jewish version of the video I was thinking of, where it's a bunch of rabbis made a video that say shalom.
We are old.
Very old, and it means a number of things, but among them it means like a sense of wholeness. It's not just a lack of conflict, although that's part of it. There's almost in English a play on words. Like maybe you get scrappy with somebody and you use the expression, I left in one piece. You're whole. You're intact.
PIECE.
Yeah. But so for PEACE, that's the idea of wholeness. You haven't lost anything. You're complete. You're intact. There's a wellness about it. So when God wants us to have his peace, it's his wholeness, his completeness, his...
Is it like being integrated?
Oh, almost. Yeah. It's participating in, with, and also just, a lack of conflict.
Do you happen to remember which verse that one popped up in?
Which one?
The first one, the wholeness.
Oh, the very first mention is in Genesis 15 and having to do with, I just forgot who it was talking about, but I think somebody was buried and they were in peace. Or Abraham was going to live to a ripe old age in peace.
Huh. That's cool.
In that wholeness and that completeness, not lacking anything.
Nice. Okay.
And then you get to the New Testament and the equivalent word includes all that, but it's also more focused on the lack of conflict and everything's settled and calm.
Calm.
Yeah. So that's actually a really good Jewish or Hebrew versus Greek contrast, although they're the same thing. The Greek has to do with, I guess, inaction in this case, but it's more external. And in terms of activity, there's peace, there's lack of conflict. And the Jewish one is more of an internal, integrated, participatory thing.
That's interesting.
Of the same idea.
Huh.
Yeah. The mindset's different, but the concept's the same.
Very interesting. Like active and passive even?
In some cases, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so a few Bible verses. So Isaiah 9, we read it last week, but this is the passage. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father. I'm not touching anything. Prince of Peace. of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. So I'm wondering, I read this and I hear Prince of Peace and I think like personal. Because of what comes before it, everlasting Father, wonderful Counselor, mighty God. Those are like personal encounters, if you will, experiences. And then when you get into the greatness of his government and peace, that seems to be more like a global experience.
Maybe it's an outflow of the personal.
Wow, you're so smart. Okay. So then a great passage in Philippians 4, and I kind of snuck a little bit back from what we normally would read into verse 5. Let everyone see your gentleness. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything. What? We'll get to that. Instead, in every situation, through prayer and petition with thanksgiving, tell your requests to God, and the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is worthy of respect, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if something is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. And what you learned and received and heard and saw in me, do these things, and the God of peace will be with you.
Man, that's huge.
Is that the completion piece, the experience of lack of turmoil?
I think that's the goal there. Yeah.
So then a couple of promises from the mouth of Jesus. Jesus.
Oh, what a wonderful child.
John 16:33, he says that in him we have peace. In him, relationship. Cider burp. And then in John 14:27, Jesus gives his peace to us and tells us not to let our hearts be troubled.
Funny how, in this respect, whose responsibility is it to not let our hearts be troubled? This is part of that. This is part of that relationship partnership element of stuff that God does, and there's stuff that we do.
Yep. Even with messed up brain chemistry.
Yeah, it's not just a passive. I'm going to have peace and everything's going to be great all the time.
I just won't be anxious.
Yeah,
I just won't. I'm not anxious. And then one more verse. And there's tons of them, but just another one I thought was great was in Isaiah 26:3. You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. There's a process. Super cool.
Yeah. Yep.
So again, definitely not simplifying this.
No.
It is difficult.
Yeah. Just think better. Be warmed and filled. Goodbye.
Don't be grumpy. Oh, we'll get to that one next week. It is freaking hard.
Yes.
Not to be anxious, not to worry. Yeah. Not to spin out, not to all of the bad things.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking ahead and I'm trying not to thinking of things that are later. So I'm trying to stay in the moment.
So did I talk before? There's some real specific reasons why it's so hard. And we're going to unpack 3 of them.
So before we do, I guess what's the best possible outcome here for somebody who's pursuing peace?
In what we're going to talk about?
Yeah. I mean, there's people who have a medical diagnosis of anxiety, and is not to be critical of them.
No, because I got one.
Well, yeah, but this next statement is also not to be critical of them, but there is sadly a sort of sense of romanticizing one's hangups. And because you have this thing, you identify with others that have a thing, and which is good to do that. But what if we're supposed to be? What if we have the opportunity to be better than that, more than that thing? That
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yep, that's what we're going for. So,
I mean, mental health is a really touchy subject. So if cancer, people who had cancer were like, "Hey, we're all together and we have cancer," yeah, but you want to get better, right?
yes,
And hopefully you can. Maybe you can't, but hopefully you can. And you don't want to just be I'm cancer person,
right,
forever.
Yep. So this our best possible outcome from what we're going to present is to give some real practical understanding. Maybe that will be a little freeing for those who may feel trapped.
A little challenging.
And also I want to share some resources that I think are really helpful.
Yeah.
So this is where we're kind of stepping. When I said I didn't want to minimize Jesus,
yeah,
absolutely don't. It is key, core, foundational to actually be developing your trust in Him, so that you might have peace.
Yeah,
because you can't have it at all
right
apart from Him. It's going to be just a constant pursuit of it. And it's going to be, it's going to be a false peace because it's something you have to continually maintain. But when you're in step with Him and, in the boat with Him and the storm is raging and trusting that He will calm it and carry you through, then building on that, we can understand what's happening in our emotions and in our physiology and our bodies and our nervous system, how we're either supporting or exacerbating the body's stress response.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question?
It does. There's hitting the holistic, because there's all kinds of people who could be listening, and some are more oriented towards one area of holisticness than others. So if it's like, that sounds weird to me, well, maybe that's the area you need to lean into, to quote Jess.
Lean in.
Okay, sorry.
No, that was a good point, honey.
We're going slow and deliberate.
Well, because it's a sensitive topic, and I never want to. Number one, I have anxiety, not nearly as badly as people I know and care about, and so I have great compassion for the experience of anxiety. Yeah, so it's definitely not a minimizing of it. It is hopefully to bring hope.
We're going slow on purpose.
Yep. Okay, so I think one of the reasons peace, the pursuit of peace and experiencing peace is so difficult is because of our culture and our lifestyles. Yeah, we pack it all in. There's way too much going on.
Yeah.
We all have way too much on our plates that we're responsible, and we have no boundaries.
Yeah.
Or margins. Boundaries probably too. Or margins.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're living to the extreme. We're taxing our resources in every way possible.
Yeah. Largely because we're marketed at that way. In every respect. For your family with little kids, well, they got to be doing activities A, B, and C. You got to get that new car to go up out in the mountains, the Jeep, and there's just
got to support this church program.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this weird. Yes, active is better for some reason.
We're living at a pace that I'm not convinced is necessarily God's best.
Oh, no.
And we saw that in COVID when everybody kind of got to slow down. There was
had to.
Yeah. There was a large portion of the, population who's so grateful for permission to not do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To slow down and stop.
Yeah. That peaceful life.
Yeah.
Which I'm still craving.
Yep. And if it doesn't sound appealing to you, keep listening, because you probably need it more than you know.
Spoken like a nutritional therapist. Okay.
Spouse.
Yeah. Okay. So then I think there's a psychological aspect to why it may be so difficult to have peace, experience peace, rest.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about that, right? And what are the
Mm-hmm.
reasons that we would want to look at? So yeah, having a personality or a temperament that is high energy can definitely make it difficult. In some ways, it is our response to difficult situations can often be just to keep going, just keep going, just keep going. Fill your schedule. Don't slow down because you'll have to look at it. So, kind of working its way into that trauma response.
Mm-hmm.
It could be people pleasing, any one of those things. And when I mentioned that it could be a physiological response, we'll get a little bit to that. But I think of metabolic disorders like hyperthyroidism,
Mm-hmm.
or we're going to talk about HPA axis cider. HPA, no, it's not the cider. HPA axis dysfunction, which is um,
Google it.
yes, it used to be known as adrenal
Oh, adrenal
fatigue.
fatigue.
My brain just went, what was
Wow.
it? Because I forgot what it was,
Mm-hmm.
which just basically comes from running yourself ragged and your body says, I'm done.
Captain Adrenal Fatigue right here.
Yeah. So now clinically it's referred to as HPA axis dysfunction.
I like the other name better.
I know. Yep. Okay. So
I'm not at peace with that name.
I know. Back to the psychological though. We have a tendency as human beings to look for ways to bring order and peace to our environment,
Mm-hmm.
which works its way out as control freaking.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I meant when I was saying that, we can pursue peace apart from the Prince of Peace. And it's something we continually have to maintain because it brings us false peace, which constantly needs to be, I've gotta do my meditation. Like I've gotta control this and right. And so then we end up with a very fragile sense of peace that's easily disrupted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not great.
No.
And I think probably what I wanted to spend the most time on today is actually what physically can make it difficult. This is what I was really excited about because I was like, oh, this is it. And this happens. And then there's this. Yeah, we're going to talk about the body and the way our bodies were created and wired to work and what happens when it gets messed up. So, I'm going to honestly say that I'm going to talk about some things that I know this much about and other people know way more about, which is why I'm going to set you on a little resource path. So first of all, anxiety and depression, ADHD, these things that we've talked about that are peace disruptors, right? Make it really difficult for us to actually experience the peace of Christ. Yes. Those are manifestations, possibly emotional or experiential manifestations of what's actually happening in your body chemistry and your neurology. There's no shame. Hear me, person. There is no shame in having depression or anxiety or ADHD or any one of the neurodivergent things. My house is full of them.
Not a sin, not a curse.
Sin. Nope.
Nothing weird like that. It's biology.
It is biology.
No different than having a broken arm or a bad appendix or who knows.
Now, the cool thing about that is that there are resources for management and even restoration in some of these things. Obviously, medication prescribed by a qualified professional who is monitoring that and making sure it's still working for you. Legally. Therapy. Right?
Which is different than spiritual direction, but there's a whole episode on that. Go listen.
But the cool thing, I think that is really coming to the forefront is this a couple things. Neuroplasticity. Have you heard of neuroplasticity?
If you're asking me, yes.
So, neuroplasticity, for those of you who don't know, is basically changing how you think, which is the being transformed by the renewing of your mind, by changing the way your neurons are firing. So, this is something you can do.
Yeah, it's something your brain does in response to.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so very simplistically, a thought pattern repeated creates an actual neural rut
Mhm.
in your brain. And you can get out of that rut. Like if you think about literally a rut in the road, you can get
Mhm.
out of that by creating a new neural pathway, a new thought pattern
Mhm.
repeatedly.
Mhm.
So this is the idea of neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Like literally training your brain to think differently. So, it takes a little work. But
Mhm.
shifting that neural pathway. So neuroplasticity. Excellent, wonderful Christian resource on this is Dr. Kurt Thompson. He's a medical doctor. He's a neurologist, I believe. He wrote Anatomy of the Soul and a couple other wonderful books. But I came across a video that he did for Biola, and it's on YouTube, and it's called Spirituality, Neuroplasticity, and Personal Growth. And he actually touches on a lot of this that we've already discussed.
Yeah.
The spiritual aspect of um, seeking peace and the things you think about and how you're
Yeah.
retraining your nervous system
Yeah. I
mentally.
watched the one on spiritual discipline is the one that you sent me.
Oh, did I? Oops.
Yeah. Which is good. No, because it's exactly that. It's the getting into the habit of prayer and reading and reciting the same kinds of things like in a liturgy over
Yes.
and over,
Yes.
develop new pathways.
Think on these things.
Yes.
This is where when we're reading that verse and it says, do not be anxious.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. No. Instead,
Mhm. Yeah.
retrain your brain.
Yep.
Retrain your brain to develop new neural pathways
It's
in
like
your thoughts.
putting on the mind of Christ is not just some fun spiritual expression. It's
Right.
think like Jesus did.
Yes. Yeah, it is a practice, which in a way can be overwhelming and it can be encouraging depending on what's in your tank.
Yeah.
So, check out Kirk Thompson. He's great.
He's totally a brain doctor type person.
Yeah.
Like he'll say, well, and here's why this is true for the following reasons.
He's very orderly.
It's like, wow.
But when you read his book, it's much more,
He must have a good editor.
it is very scientifically meaty.
Yeah.
But it's very also conversational. He'll bring in a lot. Like the Anatomy of the Soul really talks a lot about relationships and how it's a different topic. It's very good.
Yeah.
But a different topic. But he does discuss neuroplasticity quite a bit. Okay.
But that's important. Change the way you think. It's not just a admonition. It's like there's physiological consequences, rewards, repercussions, results. That's the word. Results.
Good word.
Thank you.
You want a good word.
You want a good word for actually doing that.
Yes.
It's not just to have a new mantra and just kind of just think
Right.
better. It's no,
Right.
like it'll fix your brain.
And what is in that Philippians passage? The Lord is near. God, and when we tell him, our concerns, his peace is available, right? And it's going to guard our hearts and minds.
Yeah.
So this is not entirely up to you, my friend.
Nope.
You have a role and a participation. Annie.
P.S. There's an old song by a friend of ours named Brett Williams. The song is called Think on These Things. He took that verse and made it into a song.
I forgot about that.
And it's a good like Bible memorization song. Brett B-R-T-T Williams.
Gosh, pulled that one out of nowhere. That's a good one though.
My brain still works. Continue.
Okay, continuing on in the physical. Hi, Annie. So, along with neuroplasticity is this involvement of your nervous system, your entire nervous system. And
Because this is connected to everything else.
yeah, it got nerves that go everywhere, everywhere,
Everywhere.
everywhere. And another thing that's really coming to the forefront in these circles are limbic system reeducation and the polyvagal theory.
Wow.
Yes. Now, I knew nothing about this until this last summer when my doctor, we were discussing my medical trauma, and she's like, yeah, you need to go through some limbic system reeducation. And I was like, what the heck is that? And then I realized, oh, I have been hearing about this for quite some time. So, I'm going to totally butcher this, but okay. So polyvagal theory is basically your fight or flight response. Okay, this is what we're talking about. So you have this vagus nerve, right? That is a huge part of your autonomic nervous system, your stress response, right? Your body's response to anything it perceives as stress, which is the opposite of peace. Okay, so emotional, physical, any of these traumas that we experience. So the polyvagal theory has basically kind of this ladder, and when we are feeling safe and confident, and just right, this is like the state that God desires for us. This is peace. But as we experience stress or we store stress and we don't deal with stress or trauma, our body's sympathetic nervous system takes over and we get that stress response, the fight or flight response, the increased blood pressure, the blood sugar rushes into your body, and it's stuff that you have zero control over because it's just chemistry happening. It's your body's attempt to protect you, and you're still feeling unsafe, and you kind of have that response of I need to get away. But then as that's untended, maybe chronically or situationally, the farther down response then is going to be this complete shutdown where you're so completely overwhelmed and you can't even. Okay. So limbic system reeducation is basically retraining your nervous or bypass. So we have neuroplasticity, which is a very intentional retraining of the nerve pathways, creating new neural pathways. My understanding of this limbic system reeducation is bypassing the conscious thought that goes into your nervous system, your processing, right? And bypassing that through like physical somatic practices, they're pretty much mostly somatic practices actually that communicate to your nervous system safety. So when there's situations where you may need to release nervous system energy with bigger movement, but a lot of time it's like communicating in times of turmoil or stress, or when you notice you're holding your breath or tensing up and you're having that stress response or anxiousness, of communicating directly to your body through your nervous system and your perception, I am safe. So there's lots of programs of limbic system reeducation that can get super duper woo woo. Super duper woo woo. So when I was researching, I came across a lady who I actually had been following on social media for a while, and I didn't realize this is what she did.
What?
So Sarah Jackson, she's she has a whole program called Restore. And it is this limbic system reeducation based on the polyvagal theory. She is very systematic in her instruction and resources. I highly recommend it. It is like a monthly membership it's like a $50 monthly membership to this huge library of resources and classes and suggestions and worksheets and And then she also has like monthly live classes and Q&As and things. She's a lovely person. She's been through chronic illness, so she's knows her stuff.
Yeah.
So these practices can actually move your nervous system out of that fight or flight response that we have that steals our peace, even in the smallest thing. When somebody's raised voice triggers you,
Yeah.
that trigger
Yeah.
is a stress response.
Yeah. I think it's important to hear the fight as well as the flight. I think people who tend towards the anxiety side of things maybe are prone to the flight part. Like, I'm just going to run away. I'm going to have it. But other people who want to fight, like fighting seems to be like, a little more romanticized than fleeing. But fighting is just as potentially negative of a response as the flight. So if you're like, I'm going to fight through this, well, maybe that's not the way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody who's like super confrontational, again, why? What's going on?
Yeah. Some people take control by getting out. And some people take control by taking control.
Yes. Good point. Very good point. Yeah. Okay. So those two resources on the nervous system, which can, nervous system out of alignment can steal your peace big time. So learning how to retrain your actual neural pathways and how to remind your nervous system that you're safe.
Yeah.
Bring it back down to a state of peace are going to be huge. And these are so neglected in the Christian world. So neglected.
Yeah. Brain-body connection.
Just pray. That's part of it.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind.
Yeah. And so we actually are really blessed to be in a time in history when like, these things are being understood and documented and studied and researched. And
yeah, for sure.
And I might say again, if our lives and our lifestyles were not so out of control, there might not be such a high need for this. But grace.
Yeah.
Grace overall. Okay. So the other part of our physicalness, our physicals.
So that was more the emotional manifestation. Stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Generally, yes. Yes. Let's talk. Yeah. Good point.
Sorry, I was just trying to see how the bullet points are structured and be like, what was that? That was really okay.
Yeah, that generally is more the emotional, getting into the emotional manifestations. Now,
emotional nervous system.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So another one of my favorite things to talk about is really the impact of nutrition, which seems so disconnected until you know.
Again,
until
another
you know.
area.
Yeah. So
you mean I feel bad after I eat 10 Twinkies and that's normal?
Define feel bad.
In every way.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to talk mostly about, we're just going to call it the adrenal fatigue, blood sugar imbalance connection. That's mostly what I want to talk about. But there is a huge connection between your gut bacterial balance and your brain chemistry. And this is the enteric nervous system. Oh, I should have looked at this because this is very deep in my brain. There's an actual nervous system connection between your brain and your gut. Incredibly influenced by gut bacteria. I wish I had like a solid number, but I want to say the vast majority of people who aren't, tending to their nutrition and gut health are going to have really bad gut bacteria imbalances. And of course, then it's going to affect your brain chemistry.
And you would never know it.
You would never
unless you knew it.
know. So that is something that I feel is best investigated by a naturopath. It is not, it goes into an area that is out of my scope.
Mm.
I don't have those certifications. I don't have that education. But, and I really think that the most thorough approach and roots-based approach is going to come from a naturopath and not an allopathic, generally an allopathic doctor, a regular MD, because they just want to medicate the symptoms instead of find the root cause. So a naturopath or a similar practitioner actually can order a test that evaluates your gut bacteria and can recommend then specific probiotics.
How would you know?
Because I've done it lots of times. My poop's not good. No, it's fine. I think. So I can't even encourage, if you are not poop, go listen to my poop episode, first of all.
Poop on your poop.
If you're not pooping at least once a day, you need to have that investigated. Okay. Setting that aside.
Sounds so invasive.
What? Investigate your poop.
It.
You know what's invasive is
Dun.
Kaiser,
Hey.
my insurance company, sending me blood or stool tests because I'm of an age, repeatedly sending them to me, and I don't want to do it. That's invasive.
That's rebellious, but
Leave me
true.
alone. Okay. Okay. So, more accessibly, if we are looking at the impact of nutrition on your body's quest for peace, seeking to operate the way that God created your body to operate so that it can handle stressors without becoming overwhelmed and shutting down. That chronic input of stressful stimuli, from teeny tiny to super duper big, creates this response of, we talked really quickly about it, your body's going to flood itself with sugars to give you the energy for the fight or flight response. Because you're, we're thinking like a caveman, right?
Right.
And this is just the way God made your body, that when you're under stress, your hormones cue your body to release sugars for energy, quick energy into your bloodstream so that you can respond physiologically, like in your body, to the stress. So unfortunately, this creates a cycle. Chronic stress, chronic blood sugar released, or sugar released into the blood, chronic elevated blood sugar, using the sugar in the blood for quick energy, blood sugar crashing, needing energy, seeking sugars, crashing. So you get this response of like a complete imbalance in your blood sugar.
Yeah.
So our standard American diet, the SAD diet.
Oh, that's what that was. I was like, what is SAD? Capital S-A-D.
It's industry talk. Standard American diet
SAD
exacerbates this cycle, because what do we eat? Carbs. Carbs aren't the enemy.
Right.
Simple carbs, sugars, the white flours, the chips, the quick cravings that we have for energy, whether we identify it as a craving for energy or not. That's what our body, our nervous system is seeking, right? So we go for these comfort foods, the carbs. I'm sorry, people.
Yeah.
I do it too.
And look at ingredients. And I say that because I was just looking at a particular powder product that you put in water that helps you.
They make it sugar-free now, by the way.
I happened to look at the label, and I'm like, the first ingredient was sugar. And I was like, what? Oh my gosh.
Yep. So we get the cycle then, right? We have the stress cycle that elevates our blood sugar. Our cortisol increases, which that's the hormone that causes these things to happen. But when we eat carbs, it's the same thing. We can take in these quick sources of fuel. Your body breaks it down really quickly. Your muscles and your brain use it very quickly, and then it's gone, and your body's missing a source of fuel. So it tells you, hey, we need to have more of that crap. I said it. So you go on a hunt for another quick source of energy. Or maybe your meal is just nothing but quick, pasta. I love pasta and potato. I love them. You haven't given yourself rounded nutrition so that your body has both quick and long lasting sources of energy. And so you enter that cycle again where you're just stuck. And what does it do? Because then your body's constantly releasing the cortisol so that it can get the sugar into your blood. You're stuck in this stress response. So you have a neurological stress response that is happening, right? And then you have this physiological stress response that's happening, food related.
And remember, we're talking about peace.
I know.
This is Advent, and we're talking about peace. And this is absolutely relevant.
Thank you.
We haven't gone down a rabbit hole into nutritional therapy.
No, we're talking about why peace is so hard.
Yeah.
Because your body you're fighting your body.
Yeah. You're at war with your body.
Yeah. And not as like a shame on you, but as like you're trying to cope.
This is how we're marketed to again.
And you're marketed to, and you're literally just trying to cope.
Yeah. Family environments, all of it.
Yeah. So
nothing's going to change unless something changes.
Thanks, Sal.
Well, that was more Dr. Phil, but
Dr. Phil is very closely related to Sal.
When he wears other clothes, I think he becomes Sal. Continue.
Grace abounds. Okay, because we're not necessarily the healthiest in our home at the moment.
Would you like more cider?
Cheers.
Cheers.
But it's only going to help your ability to experience peace and to have a clear mind in your relating to the Lord if you take care of what's going into your body.
You know what? We're of an age. We turned 50.
50.
And we probably just started addressing this 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And it's not overnight.
No. It's hard. Okay.
What's a better approach, Jess?
A better approach really is going to be just feeding your body nutrients as an act of love, honestly. And it takes work. I know it's not easy. I know you have to cook. I know. I mean, I'm there. I am there.
Kale is a gift.
Because we're coming up on an hour, if you have questions, contact me.
Yep.
A better approach that's actually quite accessible is the Mediterranean diet, right? You've got fish, legumes, lots of vegetables and fruit, and then grains as tolerated.
Fresh.
Always fresh grains, always going with the whole brown version of the grain, right? Paleo diet, also good. This is there's the term bio-individuality. We're not all going to respond the same way to a particular way of eating, except for the crap diet. We're all going to respond the same way to that.
Atkins doesn't work for everybody. This one, but you know what does work for everybody? The crap diet.
The crap diet. You're gonna, you're gonna
universally.
You're gonna be unhappy there. So in broad strokes, nutritionally speaking, to support your body's experience of peace and your brain's ability to form appropriate thought patterns and respond to stressors, we want a diet. It's the diet you should be eating, honestly. Eat good whole sources of fiber. Eat leafy greens and colorful vegetables and fruits instead of candy. Other supportive foods for this concept that we're talking about are fermented foods. This is directly tied to the gut bacteria.
Right.
Fermented foods and beneficially affect gut bacteria. So, like Greek yogurt without all the crap in it, plain Greek yogurt
without the fruit in the bottom.
right. Kefir, kombucha, sauerkraut. These really weird super health nut things. Fermented foods.
Not exclusively.
Not exclusively. It's one way food source, accessible food source that's going to definitely help. Other things, almonds, pumpkin seeds, fatty fish, eggs. These are all great sources of the nutrients that your body needs, which broadly speaking, again, are magnesium, B vitamins, omega-3s, like healthy fats, because fats are actually the ingredients in your hormones, and all of your body's processes are governed by hormones.
So let me ask you this. If there is a person who maybe is a fitness nut who says, well, I get most of these things like through supplements and not so much through my diet. What's the difference?
What does supplement mean?
It
means basically to add to.
Right.
A supplement is a stopgap.
Okay. So someone who has like fish oil pills would be better off probably having fish. Assuming
their digestion's intact, that they've got adequate bile, that their enzymes are available for digesting their foods.
Yeah.
So
maybe that was a bad example.
Well, we're actually approaching it backwards.
We are. That's true.
So I actually am of the mindset that pretty much everybody is not going to get nutritionally what they need from their diet.
Right.
Even when it's a fantastic diet.
Yeah.
Because our food sources have deteriorated. And so they're not as nutritionally dense as they were 30 years ago.
I should clarify. I was referring to somebody who relies too much on.
Eat real food,
popping pills, and getting these things.
Yeah.
Quick, fast.
It's not a long-term solution.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Get your nutrition, deal with your digestion.
Yeah.
Fill the gaps with supplements. Go off of them when your body's back to
a multivitamin is not a meal.
Lord have mercy.
Christ have mercy.
Okay. So along the lines of supplements, I do offer personalized recommendations to my clients. On a podcast, I'm going to say consult your doctor. These are very, very broad recommendations, and they may not be right for you, but a couple of supplements that are supportive of your body's ability to handle stress, which then leads to peace and a physiological experience of peace. Magnesium, easy one. I don't know if you knew this. There are so many forms of magnesium, and your body can act. I mean, some of them are really absorbed well. Some of them are better for your heart. Some are better for your muscles.
Man,
I know. So when you're thinking magnesium, magnesium glycinate is going to be ideal for supporting a stress response. Calm, the most common magnesium supplement that we are familiar with and we have here, it's that Calm powder, is actually not magnesium glycinate. It's escaping me right now what it is.
But it's called Calm, CALM.
Yeah. It is, if I remember correctly, it is actually more suited for muscle relaxation, which is fine. It has its role. And some magnesium is better than none. But if you want to target something for your body stress response, I would go with magnesium glycinate. And then other real simple supplement is just a B complex vitamin. This is like a well-known, in fact, usually B complex supplements actually they're marketed as stress pills.
Yeah.
A lot of them will have the word stress in their name.
Yeah.
it's best to, I got to be careful how I say this. Big box stores that sell a lot of like big bottles of vitamins are probably not going to be the best quality of vitamin. So if you want the more bang for your buck, I would go to a smaller, like a health food store or those. Yes, I would go to a health food store. They're different everywhere.
Yeah, like small batch versus mass produced food is
yes, exactly.
different.
Yeah. A couple of brands. Thorn is a great brand. Standard Process is wonderful.
You have access to supplements, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Sorry, I forgot about that. I actually do. I have an online supplement dispensary that I use to recommend supplements for my clients, and they can order directly from that site. So, another reason to work with a nutritional therapist.
And it will be on the website somehow.
Yeah, to contact me for nutritional therapy.
Yes, that will.
Okay, Hugh, that was a lot.
That was a lot. Thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah.
But there's more.
There is more. I wonder, do we need to, I want to maybe leave with just
that was a lot.
An encouragement that this is not on your shoulders.
Alone.
Right. Right. And don't try to do all of these at the same time. I think it's more for an awareness that it is not simply a matter of not being anxious.
Yeah.
There's a lot at play.
Yeah.
When we talk about experiencing peace. That being said, it's already there. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in Jesus.
Yeah.
To start with.
And if you're talking about it in terms of relationship, if I came home to you and I was just all over the place, we wouldn't really be in relationship. I have to stop. I have to sit down probably and engage.
Be.
And is maybe what this little next bit is about, is how to stop and engage and just have a moment of peace or starting to develop a habit.
I just had a memory that in Hebrews, there's this invitation to enter into the rest, enter into your rest.
It's Hebrews 4.
And I remember a study I did on this with some people. And we talked a lot about like not someday, but it's Jesus now. Like the rest is available to you now.
Yeah.
It is it's gonna call for a change in your lifestyle, but it's available to you now. Whether that change is simply removing things from your life that don't allow you to rest so that you can have time to be quiet and still with Jesus, or maybe it is doing, some limbic system retraining or neural re-education or changing your diet. Like there's a lot.
It could be a lot of things. How do we start small?
Yes, I have a lovely spiritual practice for you. I'm going to make a video of this.
Oh, great.
And we're going to put it up on the YouTube. But very simply, and this breathing exercise actually comes from God. No,
as all good things do.
Dr. Kurt Thompson details this, but let's face it, God designed your breath to work to calm your nervous system down. It's literally the way he designed it. So the breathing, you'll begin just breathing at a very slow rate of 6 breaths per minute. So that's a 5 minute. Woo!
Wow.
5-second inhale, slow 5-second exhale. And you're going to do that actually for quite a while, for 5 minutes. And I'm going to have you set a timer.
Don't get stressed about it.
No. So what this is going to do, actually, it signals your nervous system to calm down. And it actually kind of goes into that neuroplasticity because you're giving your brain something else to focus on than the stressful, anxious thoughts. You're literally having to focus on your breath. We are not tuning out. We are highly focusing on something different so that your brain can get out of the neural rut that it's in. Okay. Just this simple act of breathing, your nervous system will begin to calm down. Your body will start to relax. And then we're going to move into a somatic practice that I picked up from Sarah Jackson, which is called havening. And it is literally just touching.
I was like, what are you doing to your arms, Jess?
Gently touching your skin. Just giving your nervous system some stimuli that signals safety. So instead of being stuck in your brain, your nervous system will be paying attention to your physical touch. I love to do it. Actually, if you do it, you'll feel it's instantly soothing. And you'll just very slowly, you can work from your shoulders, just all surfaces, just noticing the sensation, the texture. You could even stimulate your vagus nerve just really gently, running your fingers down the sides of your neck from behind your earlobe to your collarbone. And we'll do this in the video. And as you're doing that, I just had that was really funny. Sarah Jackson's really big on releases, like your body will cue you when you're having a nervous system release. And a big breath actually is one of those. And my body just did it. That's so funny. While you're doing this havening practice, this generally gentle self massage, it's not even massage, it's just gentle stroking.
Yeah.
You'll then focus your brain, your mind on a breath prayer. And breath prayer is praying one phrase as you inhale and another phrase as you exhale and just repeating it mindfully. So you are in prayer. So our inhale phrase will be, you keep me in peace. And as you exhale, you will pray in your mind or out loud, I trust in you. You keep me in peace. I trust in you. And you'll spend probably maybe 3 minutes in that state. And then the end of the practice will be just resting. Now, this is a perfect opportunity to lie down. Corby's got to let the doggy out. I would end this in a state, an actual physical posture that is restful for you. So something that feels safe. A lot of times when we lie down and our nervous system and our proprioception feels the solid surface we're lying on, it's very comforting and grounding and communicates safety. So that's why, probably a big reason why in our yoga class, the most common final posture is just to lie down flat on your back. It can be very restful. It can be a vulnerable position. So maybe that's not a restful position for you to end the spiritual practice in. You can do whatever you want. But some recommendations that may be restful is having a cup of tea. Decaf for sure. We love tension tamer tea. It's a celestial season. It's not organic.
Don't send us email that we're supporting new age tea companies.
No. No. It's a very tasty tea and it's got
very calming. The smell is
it's called tension tamer. There's gotta be something in it. Chamomile tea has been shown to actually be calming if that's your bag of tea. Some other kind of natural supportive things that you might enjoy are like lavender oil, a candle, or you can put a couple drops in your palm, rub your palms together and inhale. That may be a little foo-foo for you. So it's just, maybe not. You may find that you are really experiencing some peace and rest in silence. Maybe you need to build a margin of silence into your life. Like if I'm in the car, a lot of times I will not have any music on. I work generally without music on. Yeah, I'm very stimulated by sound. Conversely, music can be very calming.
Mhm.
So
I need to have it on.
you need to have it on. Yeah, sometimes like on a busy Monday in my work, I will put on some very calming classical music. So this is where it's going to be completely different
Yeah.
for everybody. But you go through this practice of calming your nervous system down, signaling safety to your nervous system, and then wrapping that up with something that you find peaceful and calming.
Yeah.
It could be something a little more active, like
A walk.
a walk, painting, watching. I love to watch trees move in the wind. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Guys, this is for you too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oops. You can tell them what you said.
I
Keep it
can't
real.
remember what I said.
You said very, very, very tactfully because Corby is always tactful and I am not.
This read a little feminine. And to be honest, that's just how, I don't know, the world markets a
Did
lot.
you hear that?
I did. That was awesome. Like church is rather feminine now. It's not made for men.
Not that you're like a hyper masculine guy.
Not at all. I am not the manly man person at all.
Corby cries more than I do.
But there's something, shut up. There's something that is more typical in men to not be calm, to not rest, to stand and to fight and to be in control and be in charge. And that's stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to maintain that image is stressful. So find a way to stop and just sit and do these things, in a way that is, it's going to be uncomfortable to a point. Probably, but in a way that just start. Just find a way to start. And if you don't like the smell of chamomile tea, then maybe it's your workshop or the garage or I don't know, whatever that sensory thing is for you, as long as it doesn't get you up and moving.
Yeah. You know what yours is?
Please tell me.
I was just sitting here thinking, I wonder what his is. You will come home like overstimulated from work and you'll say, I need to go drive through the nature reserve.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's not entirely passively. We like to count the deer. There's something we do, but it makes, because it's very open space, your eyes have to focus. There it is, far away. You have to look and you have to concentrate on something else. And you're kind of, not, the point isn't to be active, but you're just in a whole other realm than just work or home or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of other things to look at, but it's just that
giving your nervous system different stimuli.
Yeah. Like normally it'd be go to the beach, but that's an hour and a half away and not always easy.
Yeah.
To go stare at the horizon or the birds or whatever. But yeah, so guys, find a way.
Okay.
Keep hour and 15. Let's keep going.
Well,
that's why it's a podcast. You can hit pause and come back later. Don't be stressed. Don't be stressed.
Don't.
Be peaceful.
If you lived here, I would have you over to fall asleep on my couch, which actually smells strongly of dog at the moment.
Say no. Say no.
My friends, we did it.
We did it.
Yeah. I would love some feedback on this episode, actually. If you enjoy the more holistic content, I hope I didn't spray you with a fire hose.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have questions that or anything I actually know about, feel free to message me.
And what she doesn't know, she knows how to find.
I do. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, I meant to say in the nutritional aspect, there's a fantastic book called The Food Mood Connection. It's by Dr. Uma Naidoo, Naidoo. She's kind of one of the on the forefront of nutrition and mental health and brain chemistry. So that's another resource. We'll have to link all these on the website or something.
Yeah, that went way back to even when our youngest was.
Oh, that's even the
food and the but different track.
Yeah.
That's not a new thing. That's
nope.
Not for us anyway.
And yet, Yeah, I could.
Still
Never mind.
relevant.
We probably just need to put a hard stop to this podcast.
So what's the Sarah song for peace?
Oh, that. Haha. It's actually called Peace, Peace. It is on her first Christmas album, which is, oh golly, I'm so burpy, you guys.
This is not abnormal. Whoa! Should give her a green apple and see what happens.
Oh, that got one
This
in the
is
fridge.
just an apple in liquid form.
Excuse
fermented.
me. Shh. So the album was Oh Holy Night. Gosh, 2008. I feel old. Okay, so the song is Peace, Peace. And it literally says peace, peace. It's hard to find.
Hmm.
But the refrain is all your hopes and fears are met in him tonight.
Pretty.
Mm-hmm. It's great. So a blessed Advent to you.
Mm.
Peace be with you.
And also with you, your spirit. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not.
Peace of the Lord. I thought it was a quiz. I'm under pressure. I'm not feeling peace right now.
Bye-bye.
Peace of the Lord.
We are so weird.